I'll start off on probably the main topic. But you guys were looking for some football predictions from me, which I don't think we are. But we're in the midst of some internal team discipline right now, based on what happened the other night, and we're well underway inside of that. And as far as what we do externally, that will be forthcoming. And I don't have anything that I will give you tonight or that I can give you tonight, but it will be forthcoming. And so much of what this comes down to is, and I understand this, I really do, and I think our entire staff does, is we are responsible ultimately for their behaviors, all right? But we are sure as heck not responsible for the choices they make. And when they make those choices, then we're responsible for the consequences. And they're responsible for carrying them out. And that's really where we stand in that situation. And as far as where it affects our team, we didn't start basketball till this afternoon. I've started basketball, I've started our workouts continuously the first or second day of school, and we haven't done that until today. And we haven't been to the weight room yet. We've got to get everybody to understand. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't just matter this situation. Entire team. We've got to get a team of guys that understand. All right. Ultimately, they are playing for Indiana and not at Indiana. And I think it's really, and I mean, we've got some of our Indiana kids who've got to understand that. I'd love to tell you that that's just an out-of-state thing. No, that's a universal thing. We've got to get guys to understand that there is a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that goes into the basketball responsibility, the academic responsibility, the social responsibility, and really where we sit right now, as much as anything else, is the leadership responsibility they've got to have with one another. And I'd love to sugarcoat it for you, and I'm responsible for this. Like I said, ultimately I'm responsible. But our internal team leadership has been less than poor for the last 2 years. And on August 27th, the bad news is there's some that aren't going to be able to get that understood, that they have a role in this as far as being responsible for each other, responsible for their teammates. Or it's August 27th and we're going to take some real strides. We're really at a high level of focus to try to take those strides. So when situations like this happen, much like any other time, it might be isolated to a couple people when it comes to what happens, but it's a team-wide thing when it comes to understanding where they're at. And we've struggled with that. We've struggled with that for the last couple years. And but ultimately, as I tell you, I mean, the responsibility of their behavior falls on me. And we're doing what we are doing constantly when these situations come, is to address them thoroughly. And we're also doing what we do constantly on a daily basis, which is try to get them to understand what's important, try to get them to understand what their responsibilities are, try to give them the tools that they need to get to that point. All right, hold them accountable, all right, when they don't, and praise them when they do. And at the same time, you get disappointed when something like this happens at a very high level, and we're sharing inside of that disappointment, inside of that program, in a very intense way right now.
So where does the leadership come from at this point then? If he's kind of...
Well, you mean as far as the team?
Yes.
So like I said, it's August 27th. We're either going to take really good steps with that, or we're going to report. And we've got to. Our upper class leadership is not good. Okay, and it's got to get a lot better. And I'm including the sophomores in that leadership group. We're going to play a lot of games at Indiana. Okay, you're going to have a big role in Indiana. You got to have a big role off the floor when it comes to the leadership. And it's not about, well, I didn't make a mistake. No, that wasn't me. That doesn't fly. You've got to protect your teammates. One of the, irregardless of what's there with the other night, Emmitt should have never had my freshman in that situation. Okay, they just got there. They hadn't even started official classes yet. That wasn't until Monday. And obviously they'd been there in the summertime. And it wasn't like we weren't together in the summertime, building our program. We had a great summer. We had a fantastic spring. And with the exception of James's injury, which set him back a little bit, but it didn't set our team back one iota, we had a great summer. So work ethic-wise, getting better on the courts, we've only got a couple of guys that don't understand the value of what they've got to do a lot of extra work to make themselves better. But that's not our issue right now. Our issue is getting a responsibility to one another. I was 3,000 miles away Thursday night, okay, with a couple of my children, all right, trying to help them with their futures. It becomes really, really important that not only coaches that are there, but players are looking out for one another. That's how you build a winning program, and it's got a lot to do with understanding we're playing for Indiana. It's just not when you go to practice, and not just when you shoot, and not just when you play the games, not just when you do an interview with all of you. Okay, it's a 24/7 deal, because obviously, as you well know, or we wouldn't be having this crowd right now. It is a 24/7. It's unlike, there's nothing like it at the university when it comes to athletics. I mean, it is what it is. All right, and there's very few programs in the country that have the 24/7 identity that Indiana basketball has. And we're struggling right now with understanding of what that means and what that entails. And a lot of it is really understanding it is so much more important for you to be a great teammate than it is for you to just take care of yourself if you're really gonna be successful. And that's what we've got to search for. Or that's what we are searching for.
On the assistant coaching position, anything new on there? And also, can you talk about the addition of Josh Newkirk and Max Bielfeldt?
Well, we had plans for the week as far as announcements, and obviously a lot of things have been thrown. It's been a busy week. Been there since 4:30 today, and the rest of the staff was there by 5. I mean, at 5:15. I mean, it just our priorities have been to get this team in every possible way to understand as a group now. I mean, there's a couple people above it. Our group has got to understand they are responsible for one another. But as far as that, I'd like to do the proper things with introducing those guys to you. But Rob Judson is a full-time assistant for us. He's one of the finest coaches I've been around. I had great respect for him long before I got to know him. And he's been a successful head coach in the Mid-American Conference, coaching against guys like Jimmy Christian, Tim Buckley, Keith Dambra. I mean, very successful guys, and did a great job in that league. Or pretty good, a job that he took over a tough situation and kept trying to build it up. But he's been very successful in the Big Ten, successful player in the Big Ten. He's an excellent man, and he's really meant a lot to our program in the last couple of years. So excited about him. And Brett Berman we've hired as our director of operations. And I always like to have somebody that can bring a little different perspective to it. And, whether it's a former player, whether it's somebody that's been in the NBA level, and he's got a great mind for such a young coach. He's got a tremendous background in scouting and in video and in the inner workings of an office and what goes on inside of a program. I think he's going to be a fantastic coach as time goes on, and I think he's going to bring a lot inside of our office and helping our coaches this year. We'll do more on, you want me to answer Josh right now?
It's up to you.
That was a whirlwind. And really, I said this before, I wasn't as specific. We were actively trying to recruit somebody else for this season. And we had the scholarship because of the removal of Hunter and Devin. We were very fortunate to get Max. But we were active, and my first priority, and I said this to the coaches constantly, was to get a player that could come in and help us. And to be honest with you, as crazy as it sounds, I wanted a guard. I wanted another guard that could play this year as much as I wanted anybody else. But at the same time, because I think we need it. I don't think we're as strong there as we appear on paper. And I don't think we're gonna play a little differently. Some of the lineups you saw last year with the 3 guards and things like that, they're going to become a little more situational at times. If we have my druthers, I haven't spent a lot of time on that this week. But with that being said, we were active to try to find somebody that could fit. And then all of a sudden, when the Josh Newkirk information became available, that he was available, I'd had a lot of interest in him early on. We had ended up taking Stan Robinson when we signed Ken, or when we hired Kenny, and shortly after that we got Stan. So there were a couple guards that we had been recruiting up to that point that then we really weren't recruiting anymore. Josh was one of them. We prepared hard for him when he came when Pitt came this year. We didn't have anybody that could stay in front of him. We didn't have one guy on our team that could stay in front of him in that first half. Now he didn't get as many points obviously in the second half. We did a better job, and maybe they didn't find him as much. But we felt once we got to that point with what we're going to need potentially guard-wise moving forward in the future, that this would be really good. So, and again, it just came about. And how about this guy? Okay, he gets in there on Sunday night. By Monday afternoon, he's right in the midst of everything we're doing. And he's not doing it to the same level because he's coming off of a surgery, but he's right in there in the middle. I've been very impressed with him this week, because it's almost like you want to see this and say, you know, I don't want any part of this. I don't want this to happen with me. And it's like right now, if you're going to be in the program, you've got to have a real thirst for leadership, okay? Because we need it. We need it internally in that team. And we need people to take more responsibility for one another. Because when you get real concerned about what you're doing, it's real easy to lose sight of what everybody else is doing. And that doesn't win. That doesn't win. And when we're really clicking, we've got great ball movement, we're connected defensively. When we're not, okay, because we got guys that think they're going to do this or they're going to do that, that's not going to happen anymore. Because if you can't, we can't let it happen. We've got to play defense at a much higher level. If you can't defend your position, you're not going to play nearly as much. If you can't move the ball at a high level, you're not going to be on the court, okay, when it's time to win the game. And you'll play, but you're not going to be where you thought you were going to be. And I've known all summer long we've been building towards that. So saying all that, Josh will hopefully help us as we get into that, as he gets healthier. But I'm already impressed with the moxie that he has. He looks like a completely different kid than a young man than he was during the season, you know, with his body. So feel good about him.
When you talk about leadership and needing more from returners and veterans, how much do you look to? I know Max is new, but maybe Yogi and Nick in particular. I know it's sort of a basic question.
We have poor leadership right now. Okay, and the bottom line is, we've got some guys that have been there that have got to pick it up in a hurry, and at the same time, we've got other guys that a guy like Max that we're expecting a lot out of Max. We think there's a lot on the table with Max, and we think he can be a very effective player for us. Well, he's also going to be in a little different role with us right now too, and not just because he's brand new, but what you need is guys that will, you know what, you need great awareness on the court, especially defensively, right? You need awareness of game situations, awareness of where the ball needs to go. You need awareness off the court. You need to take responsibility, sometimes in a hard way. You need to reiterate what the coaches are saying, because I keep going back to, you know, we're sitting here with the responsibility hat, which, you know, it's there. You can't see my hat, sorry, but it's there, okay? It's a little heavy, but it's there. But the players got to have a role in this. They've got to have a role, and we've got to keep getting that across the best that we can, because there's high expectations for them, there's high expectations for this team, but there's high expectations to participate in Indiana. There's very high expectations for them, and there should be.
Tom, just where is James physically, and from a leadership standpoint, what do you need to see from him?
I'm not gonna define anybody. If I had a great leader for you right now, I'd have named him about 10 minutes ago. Okay, he's getting better. He can get better in a lot of ways. He's getting healthier. He's not in a full contact situation, and you know, we may be expecting too much leadership out of some guys. We really might, and that remains to be seen. But it's going to come from somewhere, because we're going to get better, right? I mean, you go one or two ways. And last year we got a lot better after we had our issues, but it wasn't in the form of having great leadership, and that's obvious. But he's improving. He's right on schedule where we thought he would be as a player.
Kind of a left turn, but the Big Ten schedule came out today. I think you're opening with 2 games in a row on the road again for the second year in a row. I assume you've seen it at least at some level. Just what are your thoughts?
Well, believe it or not, I've seen it. I haven't studied it, because I just haven't. I know the ending and I know the beginning. And I said to ask somebody there, do we play Ohio State once or twice? I mean, I'm not as wrapped up in that right now, unfortunately, because we just got it recently, and I haven't really studied it. So it's a great schedule. I mean, obviously, I know there's a lot of national television between CBS and ESPN. There's the Big Ten Network. It's a tremendous schedule. It's a very challenging schedule. And it's one that I thank, very thankful that we don't have to play starting right now. In all honesty.
Tom, I know you were devastated with the accident with Devin a year ago. How hurt are you now that it happened again?
I don't have, you know what, it's not, I'm responsible for this program, right? I'm responsible for their behaviors. So me being hurt is not what's going to get it better, okay? And that's the way it is. You know, you always would like to make a different decision, right? I mean, it's really easy to say, well, you know, if you'd have suspended Hunter longer, you know what I wish I'd have done when Hunter got in trouble? And I love Hunter Perea. I wish I'd have removed him from the team when that happened. If I go back and change it, okay, we punished him, okay, until May, until the week before the dead week, or until the week before dead week, okay, in the semester. He was doing things inside of Cook Hall, stuff that, you know, the cameras aren't there for and we're not advertising, right? But sometimes you try and you want things to go the right way and you get attached and you realize, no, this is not working. And so the longer I coach, the more, unfortunately, that's what it becomes. You want to try to help reach people. You want to try to help make them better. We're not going to stop doing that. But we got to make sure, no matter what. I know where the responsibility sits with me. I know where the responsibility sits with the coaching staff. I know where Fred feels the responsibility sits with him, and he doesn't even coach a team. Okay, I was listening loud and clear when the president spoke the other day. I get that, but we've got to keep the young people, and it's not just our program. I'm talking to Tom Izzo from Italy today about this. You know, and he's had a few issues, right? The players have got to figure out a way somehow to understand their responsibility is huge, because this isn't fun for anybody. It's certainly not fun for our families, but you know what? As tough as it is for a coach's family, imagine being the parents. You know, whether they're involved or whether they're not, imagine being those parents. So that's what becomes really hard in this. So getting back to the original question about being hurt, it hurts not the emotion.
That's all the time we have. We've got to stay on.